As we are waiting for our special guest, keynote speaker, I would like to know from Anushka whether we could, you are on time to invite her. Anushka, am I on time, on the forum, on net to
Yes,
invite our
ma'am.
special guest of eminence?
She's here. She's here, ma'am. You can see her. She's
Yeah,
here. She's
yes.
here.
Thank you, Anushka. Thank you. We take immense pride in introducing our guest of eminence, our keynote speaker, Her Excellency Dr. Janice Darbari, an author and journalist. She has chosen the first patron to the newly formed Indo Montenegro Art and Cultural Forum, created by our government to develop and promote relationship between two countries in 2017. She is the only author to have been selected for the position of Honorary Consul General for Republic of Montenegro in New Delhi. She has an unique presence in the field of international diplomacy. Madam Her Excellency was appointed as the Special Representative Emissary of the Republic of Macedonia to India in 1993. She also played a key role in establishing formal diplomatic relationship with former Yugoslavia Republic of Macedonia in 1955. We welcome you, ma'am. We are so amazed to see you with us on the International Women's Day and feel very happy and thrilled and waiting to listen to your speech. Thank you for your presence. We welcome you.
Well, thank you, Jiva John. It's congratulations to all the women all over the world. It's a great day today for all of us. And from the government of Montenegro, I bring the best wishes to all of you who are organizing this function on this auspicious day, and to all the women who are watching this program of yours, as I've been given to understand, in different universities, scientists, people from the field of art and culture, and from the Nalanda University, the Vice Chancellor, and many other universities. I bring my greetings today to all of you from our country, Montenegro. I've been the Honorary Consul General for Montenegro since 2008, and I hold this prestigious post as perhaps the only woman in India to represent such a beautiful nation called Montenegro. It is situated in the Pearl, it's called the Pearl of the Mediterranean, former Yugoslavia. The Montenegrin women are very, very beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful race, the men and women in Montenegro. And just as it is blessed with the beautiful bounty of nature, the sea, and the beautiful hills, the ending of the Dinaric Alps, it's a wonderful tourist place. As an Indian woman, when I was nominated to the post by the President of Montenegro, and the President of India welcomed it with great honor, it was my honest duty to bring both the nations together in very fruitful discussions over these number of years. It's been a very challenging post, as it was created when I was, I would say, a young person who was bubbling with enthusiasm, talked as a journalist, as a writer, as a person who was the special emissary of Macedonia to India, nominated by the Prime Minister of the country, to again establish diplomatic relations with India and to get India to recognize Macedonia. And as a woman, I was able to complete this task within a record period of time. And for the people in the Balkans, it was, wow, what an Indian woman we have. She's dynamic, she's got us recognized. And it was a big talk. People started calling me the sister of the Balkans. So you can imagine a woman when she makes up her mind and she wants to do something. Well, when you are blessed to do something for your nation, it is an honor and it's destiny also. And when you have to work on the different parameters of trade, economic relations, political relations, cultural relations, it becomes a challenge. But I was very lucky because being a writer, author, and journalist, over the number of years of my career, spanning over 40 years, even being the advisor to the government of India on the child labor in India, for the physically handicapped. And then I worked with Mr. Suresh Prabhu on environment, and we brought out the policy for bamboo for India. So knowing India so well, to do for Montenegro and India was a joy. Everybody who I knew, they came forward to help the nation and help me, help India and Montenegro have very good relations. The result is that over a number of years, tourism has developed in a big way, and lots of Indians are going to settle in Montenegro and open their businesses also. So as a woman, what I feel today on March 8th, it is a great message for the woman of the world that when you look towards national development of your country and you have an honored post of an Honorary Consul General, which was formed and created under the United Nations Vienna Convention to develop relations between two countries, it is something when you start doing, you realize how sensitive it is. And you have to, as a woman, mature into an international being, understanding how to resolve international relations. And I would think a woman is born to do it. She's a born peacemaker. She's a born homemaker. She's a born creator. She is innovative. She looks at peace. She wants peace. She wants to fight for human rights. It is but her second nature. She's the Mother Earth. So there's so much of a personality in the woman that can blossom and bloom into your various careers, which you decide to adopt as a way of life. I can understand one thing, that when you are doing something like this, you must dedicate yourself. And when you dedicate yourself, you are then only going to be able to do something worthy of being the individual you're born to be. It's not that we think we are just a woman. It is what you put into that feeling of being a woman. You don't have to look at men and turn around and say, well, they are my competitors. No. You don't have to look at the world as the world has been cruel to women. No. We have men in this world who have worked selflessly to raise the cause of the woman, whether she's been a widow, whether she's been in her profession, she's had her difficulties. There are people behind you. It is, I would say, a majority of men who brought in a lot of reforms where the women are concerned. Women today are fighting for what type of rights is a different issue. As and when she has come out in the fore to understand her job in her workplace, yes, she has to evolve first to understand that workplace. We cannot just turn around and say there is a sexual abuse or there is something happening, because we have not adjusted ourselves also. I remember a man telling me that one of the very famous bureaucrats, he said, I was so used to meeting my men folk as bureaucrats, but when the woman started entering the services, it was my natural habit to tap a woman on the back or a man on the back, because it was my natural way. And he said, some people would say, look, hello, don't touch me. He said, I learned from what that woman said. But at the same time, it was the woman who also had to understand that he's also trying to adjust. She could not turn around and say that what are you doing patting me on the back? So there is a lot of understanding that has to develop. So today is a day to understand yourself, to see other women who have graced high post, to understand how other women have as perhaps as a nurse, faced what is you would call a cultural distinction when she becomes from an ordinary daughter and she travels to be a nurse. She's exposed to a totally new way of life. She has to nurse mankind. She can't think she's taking care of a man or a woman. These are all very, very important subjects of evolution of the mind. Yes, if there are people out to exploit you, then there is a big reason for you to raise your voice. If you can curb it yourself, nothing like it, because then you evolve as a woman of substance, who the men look at as a challenge to their style of trying to get away with things. And you turn around and can change their character, then you're a woman of character. Because you must learn also how to prevail. It is not that laws are going to protect you only. You have to understand that if you're walking out also on a dark night, you are going to invite trouble, because they are going to be ruffians. They are going to be people who've had a high drink. They are going to be people who are waiting like jackals. But you have to understand that, yes, this is society. It could be in any part of the world. So therefore, gracefully, when you do your things, think about it. Plan your movements. Do not think you are so strong that you can walk on a street in the night and then turn around and cry, why did this happen to me? Plan yourself. Do not think you are the individual who can change the world in a substance, in a moment, in a whiffy. It doesn't happen. We have to be realistic. We have to be pragmatic. These are things which are very, very serious. I have been reading about the number of women who have been harassed when they're walking on the road. I remember when I was in college, in a very famous college called the Lady Shri Ram College of Delhi, we used to make it a point to go out in groups. We never thought that we should walk around alone. And yes, there were boys who were walking on the road just to brush against you. And we would, as a lot of women together, club him down. So this is exactly what it is. You have to learn your strength is within society. Standing alone is very difficult. Getting yourself respected is very tough, because you have to mature a lot to be able to get yourself respected. It's how you carry yourself. I've had the opportunity of interviewing Indira Gandhi. I've had the opportunity of writing a book about her when I was a young journalist, and this book was called, me and my sister wrote the book together. It was Indira Gandhi's 1028 Days. And I remember when I asked her, we were young girls doing our journalism in London. We used to wear those tight pants and frilly tops. And whenever we used to enter the office of a particular officer, he would look at us. And then we were pretty, we were charming, and they would turn around and they would look at us with a smile and then, let's go out. And then we'd look at them and say, no, thank you. We don't have the time and we are busy on our work. But when we brought this to Indira Gandhi's notice and we said, it's so, we don't understand these men. And she turned around, she laughed and she smiled and she said, this is India. You're a journalist, you go out in London, you talk like that. It's acceptable. It's the Western world. But when you're in India, the man hasn't even sometimes been able to understand himself. And when he meets a woman who is so young, dashing, beautiful, and modern, he is going to see whether he can make his way with you. So be careful. When you come to the offices, when there's a decorum, dress in a salwar kurta, dress in a churidar pajama, dress in a sari, half your problems will be solved. And believe me, half the problems got solved. So it is how we command ourselves, even how we dress. In fact, when she told me, she said, when I go to the villages, I wear these long full-sleeve blouses. And the psychology of the masses was very interesting. They would respect me and call me Amma. And I liked it. She said, I had matured as a prime minister. I knew also that I had to, when I talked to my people, my country, my nation, I had a message for them. So this is exactly what we all must understand. Today we celebrate a day which a lot of women have sacrificed so much to make this day. My mother, she was 90 years old, 92 old when she passed away. That's last year. I lost a friend. I lost a mother. I lost somebody who gave me so many virtues and so many things to live with. And she taught me one thing. She said, remember one thing. Always, when you read, knowledge is power. It will teach you a lot. Read books, read the newspapers, be abreast with what's happening. You cannot live with your mind isolated from what's happening in the world. It's the wisdom of life which will mature you through all the turmoils. Don't ever feel helpless that you are alone. You know, it's something very interesting because I never got married. And when you don't get married and you don't have a husband behind you, you don't have children behind you, you have yourself to live with and you have yourself to come forward with. It's a very big challenge. So my mother said, don't ever feel lonely. If you feel lonely, then you've let down a very big self-defense. Learn to conquer loneliness. Learn to meditate. Learn to be yourself. So I picked up all these virtues. And she herself, when she was young, her father was an ICS officer of the Imperial Raj in 1923 batch. And you can imagine he brought up his daughter as the most modern daughter of her times. She went to school. She went to boarding school. He pushed her through Isabella Thomas IT College in Lucknow. And at a very young age of 14, she did her intermediate. And he taught her. He got her the best teachers to teach her at home. And he was the one who gave freedom to Balia in 1942, the collector who raised the flag of India on his office when Gandhiji gave the call for quit India. So that's the type of family I come from. I come from a family of freedom fighters. So we know what freedom is, and we know another person's freedom ends where our nose begins. So you have to understand yourself. Life is very, very evolving and very exciting, and it's very daring. You have to learn to live it. And once you live it, you understand each and every moment and you enjoy it. So today, I think it's a chance when all we women shared with each other, form a good network. And I was given to understand by the organizers that this message will be going to many universities, many young children who are stepping out into this busy digital world now. And the digital world offers a lot of challenges. I've had to learn so much about the digital world, and the young ones are born with it. So there is going to be, a knock of a shoulder here and a knock of a shoulder there, and people saying, well, this is how you should live life, and now the next generation is going to see life like this. But yes, when we're talking about life and living it, live it to the hilt. You only have one life. Live that moment. Do not think that somebody else can take that moment away from you. Enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, then what are you living? Even if you do a thing like making a cup of tea at home, I sometimes enjoy just singing and making that cup of tea because that is my joy of life. So even if you're making your lovely, sumptuous meal for your family, enjoy it because that is what is going to give your children the energy for the day. So that is going to be your joy to see your children evolve in front of you. So when you are the mother, you play such a dashing role. And from my mother, I learned that. I mean, people used to say, Janice, you're not a mother. How do you know what it is to feel like to be a mother? I said, you know what? If you have a mother like mine, you will never feel that you don't miss motherhood, because she taught me how she would be like a baby, and she would say, you're my mother. And it was such a joy. I mean, I tell you one thing, the relationship you have with your parents, is ever evolving. And that relationship is so dear to you because it makes you the full woman you are. Your father pats you on the back, your mother pats you on the back. And then if you have brothers and sisters and cousins who sort of support what you do, it helps you to evolve as the woman you are today. And so today when people look at me, they say, you hold yourself so well in the diplomatic field. You're able, because in our diplomacy till today, yes, the majority are men. And to be able to talk to them, I do have to read, I do have to understand their countries. It is a challenge at every step. So let's look at it this way, that you don't have to slip out of life, slip into life. It's like wearing a new pair of jeans or like wearing a new sari. Flaunt it, enjoy it. It's you. So as a friend, that's all I have to say to you. And I think as you go along with life, be musical, dance, energize yourself, bring that laughter into it, even if you're sad, because sadness is going to be there. When you are evolving, you will cry, because there's so many things sometimes you have to leave behind and become the woman you have to become. And you have to take strong decisions. You have to be hard sometimes. You have to be cruel sometimes to be kind. And that's when you realize I'm evolving as a human being, much above just being a woman or a man. So remember, it's not being chauvinist either way. And you cannot change the world by being a chauvinist. You have to understand these very beautiful tenets and principles, and then only you are going to evolve and be the woman of today. Be a woman worth March 8th. Something you can say to the world, something you can enlighten them with. Just don't ever think that you're a lesser human being. I've had beautiful girls working for me. They were from the tribal area. And when they told me their stories, one girl, in fact, when she told me the harrowing tale she had in the village and how they were, just to keep a tribe alive, these girls, whether they were married or not married, they needed to have some children. And I looked at her and I said, my God, you're going to do this, Pramala? What's wrong with you? She said, you know what? My mother is drunk half the time. She's a laborer. She works in the kilns. She picks up bricks. And in the night, she's given a booze bottle. And what is my life? I was born out of this type of a bondage. And I'm told that, yes, I need to have some children so the tribe goes on. And I will have to leave your job, ma'am. I have to go back. And I said, what are you going to do back? She said, your washing machine is not going to come in my use. I'm going to have to start scrubbing clothes. So I said, remember one thing, Pramila, be happy whatever you do and take it as a challenge. And she went back to her village. They got her married to a married man, of all the things. And then she rang me up. I said, Pramila, are you laughing? She said, yes, I am. I said, why? She says, the man has one small kid and he's married. And I have to, the village people said, I must marry him. So I said, what are you going to do, Pramila? She said, I'm going to marry him because that's the only way I can be safe in my village. We need to have the tika. We need to have that security in the village. Otherwise, the men will not treat you kindly. So this is a social problem in India. And this problem will not go away by rhetoric. It is a social evolution. We have to change the fabric of society in India. I've had a chance to work with these people, and I know that it's not easy to be a woman even at the grassroots level. So it's not the woman only at the top who has a challenge. It is the woman at the ground level who has a very big challenge. And that is when the society has to really come forward to help. We have to really help those people who are in the backward areas of India, because till today these traditions are there. And there are many other traditions which I'm planning to write about it or talk about it in length on a YouTube thing about the Indian woman and how she has all over the India, there are different traditions which yet tie the chains to her emancipation. So yes, we do have to work on these subjects in India. Life is not as rosy as we think. And if we do not evolve these people, then of course, you see, the next generation is born through them also. And they do come to the cities, and that's when the disturbances take place because they find an unequal balance. But yes, it's a serious topic in one way, a very, very serious topic when you come down to the grassroots levels. When you come to the middle class woman, there's another problem she faces. When you come to the rich woman, there are different problems they face. It's not that the woman doesn't have a problem or a girl child doesn't have a problem, but we all have to get together to solve these problems, because no problem can be solved alone. And with these serious thoughts, I would think we have to rethink today on many issues and give those the salvation who we can. And I hope that with these words of wisdom, with my own experience as a writer, author, journalist, as a journalist, sometimes time where you may have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you may have to even meet somebody at 12 o'clock at night. So you have to be ready for all of that, and you have to be well prepared. And if you're well prepared, then you make a successful journalist. Otherwise, you can get, like I've heard instances happening now. In fact, it's more out in the open. But yes, those instances, for those that is the fourth estate of the country, if they have to struggle for their rights, you can imagine how sensitive it is in India. But it is happening in different pockets of the world. And I'm glad to say that my interaction now with the African nations, or whether the European nations, or whether the Western nations, it's been one of understanding how they have solved problems. And it's, in some countries, the women are taking over in a big way. And it's Kamala Harris has done something which is outstanding also. And we have people in Montenegro. We have a very beautiful president's wife. She's very, I would say, up to date on all international issues. So she makes a wonderful wife to a president. So she has her challenges, and every woman will have the challenges. It's not the post that is glamorous, it is the person who becomes glamorous. It is the person who has to evolve the post. And if you evolve it, then people will know you for the post, not the post for you. So remember one thing: the wife is a post, the journalist is a post, but you are the comma and the dot to that post. So it is something that you have to think today and evolve today with that type of words. And blessing you all on this occasion. I hope I have managed to get a strong message across to many women, because I know I come from a place where, my mother is a Buldelkhandi. And do you know what Buldelkhand is? Rani of Jhansi. So when I was told the story of Rani of Jhansi, and people would say your DNA matches her, I used to look and smile until I really went into the winters and the greens and the pastures of Rani of Jhansi. I realized what she went through to become the Rani of Jhansi, and how she fought for freedom of India, the valor, the mother in her. So this is what it is. India gives you that beautiful fabric to evolve as the person you want to be. And I would say one thing, that internationally, I have also had my strong opinions, and I have valued whatever I have done. I have held principles in place. And to hold principles, international principles in place is not easy, because you are then looking at a benchmark which you're creating for the nations. And yes, if you can do it, you're known as a woman of substance. And so with these words, I would like all of you to become a woman of substance and enjoy living as a woman, because it's the most beautiful, graceful way God has created you on this earth, as one of the most beautiful things. You are like, I would say, the Lakshmi. You are like the fairy god angel. You have the healing hand, and you have the Shakti. So keep this with you, fold it, sleep with it, enjoy it. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Ma'am, if there's one thing that I want to say after your speech, it is now I understand why everyone is mind blown when they hear you. Everyone is quiet when they hear you. It's because you're so amazing with what you say. You're so coherent, so amazing. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you for blessing us, ma'am. I think every word that you have spoken, I think every one of us and the audience would have loved it and would definitely incorporate it in their life to go. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Anushka. Thank you very much, Mrs. John. Thank you very much, Siddharth, men behind the scene. Thank you all. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to being with you on this very, very auspicious day. Thank you very much.